lads. It was a lot of fun. You guys had great energy, and just watched part of the film anyway. And that's one thing that's fun about this group. They're really enjoying practice, bringing a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of mistakes we got to fix, a lot of fundamental things. But went through a lot of different things today: first down, second down, third down, moved the ball quite a bit. So we got into some good situational football. We had a few live segments during our individual just to kind of get guys accustomed to the thudding and what we need to get done, and some block protection and finishing blocks and tackling. But it was a fun practice. I thought there's some consistency that you're starting to see, less mental mistakes, and overall pretty pleased with the day. Open it up for any specific questions y'all have.
Remember to do the little raise hand icon. Jonas, you want to start us off?
Yeah, Coach, a few weeks ago, you talked about how this would be a unique season. You may have to play some guys, everybody in the room might have to play. Have the coaches put a lot of emphasis in camp about building depth and getting those reps for those guys who occasionally in a normal camp might not have gotten those reps?
Yeah, Jonas, we've put a lot of emphasis on that, and it's happening. As we get in there, we're moving guys on the offensive line. Ickey's playing all over the place. Joe Sculthorpe's playing all over the place. Dylan McMahon, Gibby. We're giving those guys the ability to get reps now, in case those things happen. So it's not like game week. And Ickey went from left tackle to left guard today. Joe Sculthorpe went from left guard to center to right guard. And we're moving guys around and giving them the opportunity to do that on defense. Val Martin's played end and nose guard. C.J. Clark's played end and nose guard. So Davin Vance played end and nose guard. So just giving those guys that opportunity at linebacker. We've moved a few guys around as well. Again, because it's going to happen, and some of it's not going to be because of positive tests. I mean, you could just be in a contact tracing situation due to someone in your classroom even, so we have to be able to move it around. And in the case that nobody has any issues, then we're building depth so that we can use a rotation and keep fresh guys in the game.
Are there any guys who have been working on both sides of the ball just to build depth?
No, we haven't had to do that. So far, we've been able to keep it 3 deep with what we have. So not really doing that unless that becomes a necessity. Last year, we had to do that with Cecil Powell at times. So there's a few guys that have the skill set to do it, but we're not going to waste the reps on it until we need to.
JB, Rick.
Hey, Coach, thanks for taking out the time. Hope you and your family are doing well. My question is based off of all of the information that is coming out right now on college campuses, not just here in North Carolina, but throughout the country. NC State was also included with some of the reports that they're dealing with clusters throughout campuses. Can you give us an update of where you guys are at right now with your football team, how the protocols are going, and do these reports of these clusters coming out, do they bring any concern to you at all?
No, I think kind of expected when the students come back that you're going to have an upswing, in the numbers on the campuses. I think it's more about just managing them. We're testing here every week, and we've been good. We've had more scares probably than anything. A guy will have a headache, and we got to hold him out until he gets retested, and then he's fine. There's so many things right now that are symptoms, you'd say, of COVID. So every time a guy has one, you pull him out, you quarantine everybody that's in that tracking area. And so we've had more removals, replacements almost a day later because we're getting our testing back really fast right now. We've had any real issues. But the campuses, as you've seen, that's going to be a moving deal here, not just in our state, but others. And got to leave it up to the campus, to decide how we're going to move forward. But, as we saw over at UNC, I think they sent their students home, but the athletes are staying. And the article I read, they felt like that might make their football team even safer. So, we'll just have to see how it plays out, man. Every day you just got to kind of bend your knees and be flexible and, try to stay as positive as you can and deal with it.
Thank you, Coach.
Todd Gibson.
Yeah, Coach, this is coming from our news department. Kind of piggybacking on what JB just said. That school down the road from you guys, they're all going virtual. Can that be a good thing, or is that something that is that an advantage, or is that something you might like to see at NC State?
I'm not going to say I want to see that here. I mean, I think in-person instruction is a powerful thing. You know, I feel for all the students, not just, you know, in our state, but the high school kids, the middle school kids, the elementary school kids. You know, I think that in-person connection from an educational standpoint, that's going to hurt our society over time. Can you learn in a virtual setting? Yeah, you can. And maybe it does protect the 530 student athletes if that's what it ends up being. But, you know, I think there's positives and negatives to all of that. And, you know, I just hope that everybody that's having the issues is okay. And, you know, as a campus, I know Chancellor Woodson will do the right thing for us.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Justin Williams.
Your offensive coordinator, Tim Beck, in a year that, you know, most of the summer had to be spent virtually. Just based on these past 2 weeks of fall camp, how encouraged are you in the install of the new offense?
Yeah, you know, I like how Tim teaches. He does a really good job compartmentalizing things so they're not just memorizing. There's a system that goes with it, and he teaches it well. The words have good word association with them so that guys can understand the why behind why it's named. And he's got good plays off of plays. So it's been fun watching Tim and the offensive staff work with the players, and they're very comfortable with it. He's put a lot on them. You know, he's really challenged them mentally. And so there's going to be some mistakes, but it's been fun for me to watch. You know, it's just, I think right now our guys want that. They want to be challenged. They want to be pushed. Being home for so long and they're so competitive, you know, they want to be in that environment where they're having to think and be motivated that way.
And based on what you've seen these past 2 weeks, is there a particular position group on offense that you've been encouraged by so far?
You know, the depth at running back right now is fun to watch, and they're playing hard. Coach Roper's doing a really good job. Delbert Mims had a really good day today. He's a name that we haven't really talked about. You know, the ones that have been out there getting a lot of the pub, but, you know, it's just fun to watch the rotation of guys come in, and there's a lot of pride in that room to not let the level of play change. And so, you know, that would be the group that I think particularly today, you know, saw some things there that I liked. But the interesting part of our team is, you guys know, we had so many players out last year. A lot of young guys were forced on the field before they were probably ready. And now you bring back all these players that were out, and there's a mixture going on right now in a rotation that provides us some depth and experience. And so now it's just continuing to fine tune, you know, the fundamentals and techniques and figuring out who can do what the best.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Brett Friedlander.
Dave, a little while ago, Emeka expressed his disappointment in himself for the way he performed last year, and kind of suggested maybe he listened to too many outside influences and really wasn't as focused as he should have been. Have you seen a difference in him, and how is now he handling that leadership role this year?
You know, I think he's really hard on himself, and I think at times he's been his own worst enemy that way, getting in his own head about his expectations and disappointments. Right now, he's just consistent. He's taking it one day at a time. He's having fun. He's very aggressive in practice. He's been very consistent. And it's just part of the process of growing up and dealing with all the things that you have, and proud of the growth that he's made, and really just the way he's approaching the day right now. He's very focused, but he is having a good time out there and smiling more than I've seen him smile in 3 years.
With all the young guys that you've got at that position, how important is it for him to really kind of be a leader and set an example and kind of lead the way there?
Well, I think that what's special about our receiver group, not just now, but just going backwards, you know, Steph Lewis and Kelvin Harmon and Jacoby Myers, these guys set a standard on how they work in that room. And they've taken guys under their wings. And, you know, I know Kelvin took Emeka under his wing, and Jacoby and Thayer, and now they're passing that down to Devin Carter. And these guys are holding each other to it. They make each other do certain things in that room that's different in the way they work, and it pays off, you know. And there is a certain way that Coach McDonald expects those guys to train and practice and be very hard on them. But the nice thing is the players are really elevating that for him now.
Thank you very much.
Joe Giglio, what you got?
I know how much. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
I know how much you love my theories, Dave. I have a theory that all football this year will look like a 7-on-7 drill. Do you think offenses will be ahead of defenses this year?
I'm not sure about that one. Why do you think that?
Because of the lack of practice and lack of ability to hit in the spring.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where tackling could be sloppy early on because of the inability to do that. But I also think the fundamentals of the game are, you know, the blocking, the ball security. I worry about how many turnovers there could be from an offensive standpoint. Quarterbacks haven't been hit. Offensive linemen now having to pick up a full speed blitz and things like that. You know, I'm hoping that the product on both sides of the football doesn't suffer because of that, you know, just the fundamentals of the game, penalties, guys not, you know, being able to handle playing so many plays. You know, I think the biggest thing we've seen, it's not that they're weaker, it's not that they're slower, it's that their stamina is not as good because we didn't have them in the offseason program like we normally would have. And so when you get fatigued, you have more mistakes and you have worse technique, and that's when bad things can happen on special teams. And you see balls get turned over, interceptions thrown, missed blocks that turn into forced fumbles for defenses. So, you know, I think that's going to be the biggest thing, especially if the weather's super hot early in the season for some people.
You said today was your first day in pads. Do you plan on hitting less in the build up to this season than you have in previous years?
Well, what we've been able to do since, you know, we were able to start so early and space it out is spread out the work. And so we'll hit the same amount, but not in as many days consecutive. And so, like, for us, we're not practicing back-to-back days, but once a week. So it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday. So they're getting some time off in between from a recovery standpoint, but the number of days of contact doesn't change. It's just over a longer calendar period to kind of spread that out and help with recovery.
Aaron Beard, what you got?
Hey, Dave, you mentioned the idea of moving guys around and, you know, to see different positions. Are you that's not a new thing necessarily with football teams where you give guys looks at different spots. Are you doing more of it, though, because of the way things could be with COVID this fall?
We've talked to the team a lot about it. We're doing it where we know that we're going to have those issues. I think the offensive line is one position in particular. Obviously, left tackles can play guard, right tackles can play guard, guards can play center. So we're trying to give those guys the ability to do that. You know, someone asked earlier about playing guys both ways. We haven't done that, but special teams is an area where, you know, one of our personal protectors was out today. So we had to slide a guy over and bump a guy to a different position on the punt team. So, you know, I think we're talking about it, but we're also doing it, and the guys are handling it well.
Is it, just to follow up, is it more, though, right now, or is it about the same amount as you normally are trying to move guys between positions like last year?
Yeah, it's more right now for sure. I mean, we definitely don't want to get into game week and all of a sudden you have to have 10 guys out for whatever reason, and you've never lined those guys up in different spots. We're giving them that now so that they're not freaked out by it later.
Thanks.
Jonas, what you got?
Coach, we talked to Thayer earlier, and he talked about how, you know, he didn't do anything in this. He didn't play baseball in the spring. He got more time to kind of rest his body. Has he looked different in camp? Has he looked like more fresh in camp this year because, you know, he had that spring to kind of relax a little bit?
Yeah, I think he was mentally fatigued too, Jonas. You know, coming out, going from a fall to a spring to a fall the way he did. You know, I think it wiped him. He's so competitive and he works so hard. I think it wiped him out from a mental standpoint as much as it did physical. And he's fresh right now. He's got good stamina. He made a nice play at the end of practice today on a third down catch. And, you know, he definitely has reaped the benefits of some recovery on his body and his mind.
Andrew Schnicker.
Dave, Joe Skolthorpe talked earlier about how much the players appreciate how transparent that you and the other coaches have been throughout this. And you and others on your staff have talked in the past about wanting to be approachable and be there for guys on the team to come to you with concerns that they have both on and off the field. Obviously, right now, there's a lot for them to be concerned about off the field. How much added importance do you think that transparency and that ability for you and your coaches to be approachable for them to come and talk to you takes on right now?
I think it's a big deal. I think they're going through a time right now that no one in the history of our country's had to deal with from a age group standpoint. I mean, what's on their plate, not just as college athletes, but just as young people, and a number of narratives that are out there and people that think that they know what's going on or don't know what's going on, and the politics that's involved in all of it. There's a lot of stuff on these guys. And so I've told them, like, there are no bad questions. We're not going to hide a single thing. We're going to tell you everything we know, and just keep raising your hand and asking. And the guys have been awesome about it, What I don't want is for a player on our football team to feel like they don't know everything they need to know. I mean, that's the last thing, and we're going to make decisions as a team. We're going to do things together. And we've done that already. It's been really good for them. And I think it helps them mentally to be able to go out there and know that we're all in this. And like I told them, this isn't just the players dealing with it. I mean, our coaches want to stay safe too, I mean, we've got staff members that are in their 60s, and we go home to wives and kids. We don't want them to get ill, so we're all in this, and we're all doing everything we can to protect each other.
Corey
By
Smith.
the way, Andrew, is that a Chiefs shirt you're wearing right there?
Yes, it is.
That's what I'm talking about. Go Chiefs.
Yes, sir.
Corey Smith.
Coach, for you, we talked to Tyler Baker-Williams earlier. Obviously, he went through a big change from season 1 to season 2, but he seemed to get a really good grasp on the nickel spot last year and became, a really strong rotational player at that spot. What did you see from him last year that gave you confidence that you could go out there and do that? And what are your expectations for him this season?
He's playing at a high level right now. It's fun to watch T-Bake. I mean, it's really fun to watch him. He's playing physical. He's playing fast. His man-to-man skills and technique have improved. Freddie Autry-Wensley's done a really good job with him. And he's just more mature. He's played a lot. He's got game experience. He's not nervous about anything. He understands the scheme. And he's a smart football player. I mean, he's a guy that can play both ways. He's one of those guys that has football aptitude where if we ended up in a situation, he could go over and play on that side of the ball, and he can be a returner. I mean, he's got a lot of things going for him. And I think that's just what happens when you play. You get a lot of game reps. Your coaches believe in you, and you get that repetition and confidence in what you're doing. And he's one of those guys that looks like a returning guy that has a lot of experience. And it's fun to watch him right now.
Justin Williams.
That's going to be low cost, like $10 a pop, and is going to have same day results. Have you heard anything at NC State about potentially having access to that for student athletes?
I didn't hear the first part of your question, Justin.
Oh, I was talking about the Yale COVID test, the saliva test that'll have same day results, and I think they're going to be like $10 a pop. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've read about it like you have, but I have not heard that it's coming our way yet. But that's above my pay grade, man. I mean, whatever they tell us we're going to use, we're going to use. And I know Rob Murphy and our trainers downstairs in Sports Med are going to use what's recommended to them that's going to give us the most accurate results for our team. And right now we're getting ours turned around in about 24 hours. So that part of it's been pretty good.
Thanks.
All right. John Sauber.
Yeah, actually it's Matt Carter. I'm just using.
It's like, who is this?
Coach, you had a lot of injury at corner last year. You had to use a lot of guys at corner last year. How's that group shaping up now that hopefully everybody's healthy?
Yeah, I mean, we had linebackers at corner at one time, I think, in one of the games. I mean, it was tough last year. It's been fun watching Tayshawn Smith's really having a good camp. So he's back and looking good. Shaheem Battles had a good camp so far. Cecil Powell, those guys are playing well. You know, out of the younger players, Aiden White has a really good skill set. We're excited about what he's been doing. Chris Ingram hasn't practiced yet. We're hoping to get Chris back, but, you know, he's doing well, just not rushing him back, but he's doing well in his rehab, just taking time. And Tyon Palmer has done some things. He's still, I think, going through that trust phase, you know, that guys have when you come back from an ACL. It's even though you feel good and you're running around, there's certain hurdles you have to go through before you truly believe in it, you know. But it's been great having those guys back on the field and a lot more fun than last year at that position. Malik Dunlap made a nice play today. And so there is good depth. I think we're, you know, rotating 7 guys throughout practice, and they're all getting their turn.